Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter she can't go on a school trip even though she raised the money for it, like I told her to?
So I, a 34-year-old female, and my husband, a 35-year-old male, have a daughter named Iris, who is a 13-year-old female. We are honestly not well off at all and get by with lots of sacrificing and budgeting. Still, we do our best to make sure Iris has all the extras she needs, such as buying her art supplies and paying for her to go out with her friends. All within reason. I am willing to give more details on this if needed. Iris's school organizes school trips every once in a while. She has one coming up, an overnight trip to our nearby city where they can see the sights and visit historical monuments. I'm not being specific on purpose. However, it does cost quite a pretty penny. When Iris told me about this and asked for the money, I told her we were very sorry, but we didn't have the money for it. She seemed quite upset, so I told her maybe the three of us could put our heads together and think of a way to raise the money before the deadline for the trip. I was thinking maybe a bake sale or something. Perhaps she could sell some of her art or do commissions. She huffed at me and told me she'd get the money herself and just walked away. Here is where I may have made a mistake. I didn't follow up with her at all. Honestly, it slipped my mind and I work long days, so it wasn't really a priority, especially since she didn't bring it up again. I guess I just assumed that she'd given up and decided not to go. I did still set aside a small portion from my paychecks just in case she was working on something, even though I didn't really expect anything.
But 2 days ago, she came up to me and told me she had the money.
I was shocked and confused, and firstly assumed she must have sold some of her things, and I was ready to scold her about not talking to me first. But the reality was worse. I asked her how she got so much money, and it turns out she literally went and begged to everyone she could. Her friends' parents, her art teacher, literal people on the street. She apparently told them we were extremely poor and couldn't pay for her trip. Which is not true. We are not in poverty. We keep her as comfortable as we can. She has never had to worry about meals or the heat turning off. She just guilted them all into giving her money. I was appalled and extremely embarrassed and told her that that was completely unacceptable and she had to give all the money back and that she was not going to use that money to go on the trip. I wanted to say she couldn't go at all now, even if she got the money in an acceptable way, but my husband said that was a little strong. He fully agrees with me on not using the money she pretty much stole though, and when she went crying to him about it, he sided with me fully. She started crying and shouted at me that the deadline was a week away and that she couldn't get the money again in just a week. I told her that was really sad, and maybe if she'd made a plan with me weeks ago, then she would have been able to get the money. But for now, she has a week to come up with it. She stormed upstairs to her room and has been sulking since then.
So, am I the a-hole for telling my daughter she couldn't use the money to fund her trip even though she came up with it herself? Edit. Since people are missing this, if she had just said we couldn't afford the trip and asked for donations, I would have been okay with it, even if I still don't think our financials should be public knowledge like that. She did lie and guilt people by telling them that we couldn't afford dinner many nights, so she went to bed hungry, and that we couldn't afford new clothes for her, so she often wore the same clothes for years at a time, and that we hadn't paid for any hobbies or extracurriculars. I am not denying we aren't well off, but we are not poverty-stricken like she implied. Of course, the trip isn't denied because she told people we can't afford it. It's denied because she lied to people to get them to give her money. Here is where I may have made a mistake. I did not follow up with her at all. I told her that was really sad, and maybe if she had made a plan with me weeks ago, then she would have been able to get the money. So basically, you are punishing your daughter because you failed as a parent. Call it that if you want, I guess. No wonder America's literacy rate is so low. I am not disagreeing that I should have followed up with her. However, she's almost in high school and should know to follow up herself as well, especially when it's something that's so important to her. Are you actually serious right now? Okay, I'll give it a shot. 1. You didn't parent your daughter when she initially asked you. You just wanted the irritation to go away. 2. You set no boundaries. You literally made assumptions on what she would do after hinting to the child that you are too poor to go on a trip. If that was her takeaway, you did it, not her. 3. After her putting the time and well-intentioned effort into it, you now bother to find out what's happening. 4. Just so you know, saving part of your paycheck doesn't make you a saint or a good parent. You should have used your big girl voice to communicate. 5. So she repeats what you told her to other people to attempt to fix her issues herself. 6. You get embarrassed because she repeated what you said, that you are poor, to strangers. 7. Being poor is obviously a sin and only bad people are poor, so your reaction is completely normal, right? Right? Sarcastic. 8. You still offer no solution, putting the poor child back even further and now making her understand that your word doesn't mean anything, that you don't say what you mean, and that she must forever be embarrassed and guilty about her situation and not talk to anyone about it or get help. Nice one. You're the asshole. Not really sure why people keep thinking she did not lie. I already agree that I should have followed up, but I have addressed your points 5 and 6 already in the edit and comments. I have no idea what you are even trying to say by 7. I already told her let's make a plan in response to 8. Wow, you're a raging you're the asshole and a terrible mom. Your daughter was resourceful. You told her you all couldn't afford this trip, so where is the lie? You also told her she could go if she had the money, and she has the money. Now you're shaming her and going back on your word. You suck, original poster. I don't know how many times I have to say this. She did not lie about us not being able to afford the trip. She lied about not being able to afford food and clothing in order to guilt people out of their money. Next time, try reading the post. You're the asshole, and when she starts distancing herself from you, this will be one of the core reasons why. We don't need to know what your income is, but unless this trip is expensive, then I'm assuming you are lower income. You said the school does this trip every year, so why didn't you start putting money aside immediately for this, so she, a child, wouldn't have to pay for it? And then you shame her for getting the money. If she was doing something illegal or that would hurt her, that's a new thing, but she didn't. People generously gave her money so she could participate with the rest of the school. Why didn't you do a bake sale with her or sell some of your stuff? Also question, what would you do if she did start giving the money back, told everyone why, and they told her to keep it? Would you allow her to use it then, or would you take it from her? The school doesn't organize yearly trips like this. The timings are not always consistent. Last year, they arranged a trip in April to an aquarium. This year, it's an overnight trip to our nearby city. If she had informed me about this trip a few months ago, I'm sure we could have saved up for it. Secondly, I don't think she needs to be doing something illegal for me to disapprove. She has been lying about our situation to people to gain sympathy and funds, which I am not going to reward. Thirdly, if she returned the money and admitted to people that she lied about wearing only hand-me-downs, not having dinner, or not getting to do anything fun, I doubt they would want her to keep it. If they still told her to keep it and she still had enough money for the trip, I would let her go, but I wouldn't be happy about it. Exactly how did she lie to people? Because you can't afford the trip. I'm sensing some unreliable narrator as you seem to be embarrassed about your financial situation, so I think you might struggle more than you let on. If my friend's kid came to me and begged for some money to help her pay for a school trip, that would be fine. I know my friend couldn't afford it all. Now, if she said that she hasn't eaten in days, she needs money to buy food, but is actually going to use the money for the school trip, that would be a lie and dishonest. Doesn't sound like that though. She did beg, but was honest that the money was going towards a school trip. The right thing to do would have been to follow up with her about the trip, but you can't change the past. Is this about you being embarrassed about your financial situation and don't like she informed people about it? It sounds like what she did is just a normal teen thing. I need to know the real lie she was saying. As of right now, you're the asshole. Did you read the edit? That's exactly what she told her friends and their parents. She said that she couldn't eat some nights, so could people please give the money for this trip? I don't like that she revealed our financial situation to everyone, but if that's all she did and asked for donations, I would still let her go. But what I'm upset about is her lying to people and saying she couldn't have dinner often and other lies like that in order to guilt them. You're the asshole. How many trips has she missed? Did she go about getting the money the wrong way? Yes, but I guess she got tired of you saying no, you couldn't make it happen for her. Again! She has missed some trips. Other trips have been cheaper, and we were able to save, especially when she told us about it months in advance. She apparently told them we were extremely poor and couldn't pay for her trip, which is not true. It sounds like this literally is true. She didn't lie. People willingly helped her. What's the matter? You're the asshole. I guess I should add this in an edit since I keep having to repeat myself in the comments. If she had just said we couldn't afford the trip and asked for donations, I would have been okay with it, even if I still don't think our financials should be public knowledge like that. She did lie and guilt people by telling them that we couldn't afford dinner many nights, so she went to bed hungry, and that we couldn't afford new clothes for her, so she often wore the same clothes for years at a time, and other things like that. I am not denying we aren't well off, but we are not poverty-stricken like she implied. Of course, the trip isn't denied because she told people we can't afford it. It's denied because she lied to people to get them to give her money. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter she can't go on a school trip even though she raised the money for it as I instructed her to? Original post. So I had a sit-down discussion with my daughter after work today. I thought she was still going to be upset about the whole situation, but to my surprise, she started crying and told me she was sorry. The gist of it is as follows. I'll try to be clear about it. I asked her why she hadn't just come to me to make a plan about raising money. She said she was just upset we couldn't afford it, and she admitted she should have come to me. I apologized for not following up with her and just assuming, which she acknowledged, but she also insisted she's mature and also could have come to me. I then asked her why on earth she was lying about not being able to afford food and told her that was a pretty serious thing, as someone could have called Child Protective Services on us. She started crying again and said she was sorry and that she knew it was wrong, but she just really wanted to be able to afford the trip. She begged to be able to use the money to go on the trip, but I told her that we couldn't do that as that was scammed money. I then told her that she should give it back, but that I would sell some stuff in the home. The money I get from that, plus the little bit I saved already, should hopefully be enough to cover her trip. She started crying again and thanked me. We then had a discussion about the time I spend with her, and I apologized for not being able to spend as much time as I would like. She said it was okay, but I'm still going to try to figure something out. I can't afford to cut hours, but maybe something else. In the end, I hugged her and asked her if she wanted to have a mother-daughter day at the park this weekend on my day off, which she gladly accepted. I told her in the future, if any situation like this ever arises, she just needs to come to me for help and we'll figure something out. There won't be any need to lie to people to get money out of them. She agreed and apologized again. Overall, a very productive discussion. I'm just glad that she realized the lying and guilting was wrong and took accountability for it. So now, I'm going to do my hardest to get her on the trip. I'll even borrow money from family members if I have to. She was very receptive to what I was saying, despite some of the commenters in the last thread telling me she was going to cut contact as soon as she turned 18. Not really sure why people kept making judgments based on assumptions that were just untrue. I do not hate my daughter. My daughter does not hate me. I was not trying to punish her for telling people we couldn't afford the trip. I would have preferred if she didn't broadcast our financial situation like that, but if she had got the money from telling the truth, only that we couldn't afford the trip, I would have still let her use that money to go on the trip. I just didn't want her to go on that trip with money she got dishonestly. Anyways, I don't expect any further updates to happen, and I'm ready to consider this matter closed. You're the asshole. We don't have money to send you on the trip. We are too poor. The child tells people you are poor. You punish her and call her a liar. Poor kid. This is kind of going to be the last comment I'm going to make on this part specifically. I don't love that she told everyone we were poor. I will not condone her lying about going hungry. If you can't engage with the actual content of the post, whatever. Check out the channel to watch the full video.